Yes, a very good afternoon, all of you. Welcome to Super Coaching UPSC by Testbook. This is Venkatesh, your faculty for geography. In this video, we'll be discussing about the onset of the monsoons. Recently, you have seen that India was under severe, heat wave. Still in North India, some places are under the influence of that heat wave. The heat waves have finally ended. The monsoons have begun. The extreme heat is finally ended. The summer has completed. Now it is the arrival of monsoons. So let us understand what is the climatological process and what is the impact in terms of on this kind of thing. Before we understand all these kind of things, let us see one interesting thing from the website of Indian Meteorological Department straight away. Then we'll go to our slides. See, another aspect of understanding very interestingly, I always tell you that you have to see it some kind of authentic websites nowadays where you'll get a wonderful understanding of what are the events happening around us. Technology, you have to utilize that. Right. Now, if you see it here, so if you see here, Indian Meteorological Department, advance of the onset. Okay, just a minute. Yeah. Now, if you see it here, see as it showed advance of the southwest monsoon. What is the usual time of the advance of the southwest monsoon? Around May 30th, late May, early June is usually the time. Even this time, yes, even this time, the advance was also the same thing. So if you see it, the map right now, you can see it here. Exactly the time of this, when did you think that onset has begun? The southwest winds have begun at the time of around 30th May. 28th, 29th May to 30th May. So it began around 30th May, just 2 days ahead of the June 1st. Actual date of onset, the red color ones talk about the actual onset, and now we are on June 3rd. So slowly it has reached almost to the places of, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, and by 4th and 5th it will reach Telangana, and slowly it will go towards the entire parts of India as per the dates mentioned. So by around early July, it will complete the entire India. This is the onset of the monsoon. Look at the things. Every day, you are getting an update from Indian Meteorological Department about the monsoons. See, usually, this is the work of a geographer to read. But monsoons, very important in terms of life for us, right? In terms of the replenishment of the water resources, in terms of the economical aspect, monsoons are very important. If you ask an economist, the economist will say that monsoons are very important for the consumption. If the monsoon is fairly good, that indicates that the consumption of the economy will be fairly good, especially in the months of the October, November. That is the months of the festivals, Dashara, Diwali, and all those kind of things. So the success of rural economy, the success of India's economy significantly relies on the success of the monsoon, because fairly decent amount of farmers are rain fed under the influence of monsoons. When you talk about floods and droughts, when you talk about the natural depletion of water resources in our country, it is the monsoons which are the crucial. 70% of India's rainfall is through monsoons. Definitely, they have a huge relevance. That is the reason why we are discussing about this concept in detail. That is the reason why I'm asking you to learn about the concepts from the map point of view. You look at this, how the monsoons are ending. If you are from Jaipur, when do you think that monsoon winds will be coming across to Jaipur? Say around 5th July to between 30th June to 5th July, somewhere around that time. So depending on your location and all, try to track, try to observe so that you will understand a lot better. There would be different variations as you move across, right? So try to understand how the winds are moving up. We'll discuss in detail and how do IMD provides. There will be some kind of, reports and data which will be provided. Now you see, withdrawal of the southwest monsoon. We are in the stages of progress and onset. For a while, ignore about withdrawal. You see daily monsoon activity. We don't read daily, but at least study from the point of view of what they're trying to tell you. You see here, they're monitoring the rainfall at around certain places. 3rd June, which areas are you getting rainfall and all those kind of things. Then they'll also give you end of season monsoon report. Say by around October, you can read the end of monsoon report. So as of now, you can see the some kind of reports which are provided here. You see, one of the aspect, they have given a criteria about onset of the monsoon. What is the criteria of monsoonal onset? This is very interesting. You can read it here. When you talk about the criteria, you see the guidelines to be followed for declaring the onset of monsoons over Kerala and its further advance are, first, definitely it is the rainfall. How do you think about the rainfall? Whether there is a continuous rainfall in at certain weather stations which are there in the regions of Kerala and Lakshadweep. That's what they identify. After 10th May, at least 60% of the available meteorological stations should report rainfall consistently of minimum amount of 2.5 millimeters for 2 consecutive days, and then you will declare that as a monsoon. That can happen only based on the amount of rainfall. And when you see southwest monsoon, if this is India, the winds are supposed to enter like this. So technically, is it not looking like the winds are coming from the west, southwest? Roughly, in the meteorological phenomena, they call it as westerlies. The westerlies winds should be consistent at around these latitudes. You see the things, the wind speeds and all. All this thing will indicate that then you'll see southwest monsoon normally sets in over Kerala around 1st June. It advances northwards usually in surges and covers the entire country by around mid-July. The northern limit of the monsoon is the northernmost limit of the monsoon, out of which it has advanced in any given day. So slowly every day it will be slowly limiting, as you have seen the recent picture, right? That's what they are saying it. Then what do they provide is, when I give you about these kind of things, these are very, very important for us to understand. For example, another thing, look at this one. They have given a very, very interesting something called as, monsoonal activity, where have given the FAQs about monsoons. These FAQs, if you read it, it is very interesting. See, for big major topics of all our subjects, you have to have this kind of approach. What is the approach? First, you'll be definitely listening my sessions. Once you have discussed my session, once you have listened to my session, you will get a fair idea about what is monsoon. And then, whether it is the NCERTs, whether it is the material provided by me, or whether you go through these kind of things, you will understand about certain ideas about what is the monsoon and all these kind of things, right? You see here, what is, they have given various annotations. What is all India monthly and seasonal rainfall? Seasonal rainfall. What do you mean by long period average? So long period average is the rainfall over the last 30 years, 50 years, etc., which is the benchmark of understanding the extent of rainfall. What is below and above normal? Okay, all these kind of things, they have given a wonderful understanding as you go through this kind of a newspaper. Then you see, what is a monsoonal trough? It is a low pressure area which extends from heat low over Pakistan to head Bay of Bengal, and all these kind of things. As you read it, you're understanding your geographical concepts which has been taught to you in the classes. You will be able to get a replica of those kind of things. These are very, very important for you to learn. So before we discuss all these things, let us now discuss in detail about the concept of a monsoon. what is the monsoons and all, and then once again you can go back to this particular topic. Okay. Okay, let us now open the PDF. Let us now open the slides, understand the concept, and then once again we will go back to the IMD. Just a minute. Yes. So monsoons 2024, as you see it. Now, the moment when I say monsoons, what are the things which will come into your brain? All of you mention about a comments. What are the things which will come into your brain? When I say monsoons, for me, the thing which I'll remember as a general person during my childhood days is the good amount of rainfall. Whenever I come back to home after the school, mother prepares beautiful pakoda, right? Pakoras and all. That's what I remember as a child. What do you remember? Come on, tell me. What do you remember? Quickly, come on. Come on, very quickly. What do you remember? Right. So, as a geographer, as a common man, initially I used to see it from, the good rainfall. I have only two things. One positive thing is mother prepares good pakoras. The negative thing was after the school and all, immediately that's the time for us to play as a kid. Monsoon used to disturb that. I used to get angry. That's what I remember as a kid. But slowly, with life, me becoming a curious student of geography initially, then a faculty. Now monsoons are much beyond the childish thing of my remembrance of pakodi and what do you say, the betrayal of not getting an opportunity to play on that particular day, right? So with that, monsoons are very crucial for our country because of our economy, our rural areas, especially the rural economy, which is a significant one, signification for water replenishment. More than that, when you talk about the rural economy and all, it's all about the agriculture and its linkages with respect to the rural economy and its impact on the Indian growth story of that particular year, right? So these are all crucials. For example, how does you think that UPSC asks questions? What is the significance? For example, if you see it here, look at this question, which was asked last year. We'll go into the technical aspects of geography of monsoons and all. Understand the significance first, no? So you see, why is the southwest monsoon called as easterly Purvaya in Bhojpur region? This is the second aspect of the question. We'll discuss that later on. Understand about the next question. How has this directional seasonal wind system influenced the cultural ethos of a region? So what is the linking they are asking? What is the significance of monsoons with respect to culture of a region? Now, you might not be part of the Bhojpur region. You might not be understanding about that culture. Imagine so. If you are from that region, well and good. Definitely, the north, when you see if you are from the states of UP, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh and all, there is a fair chance that you understand about these things very, very easily because that is part of the cultural ethos there. What about if you are from Northeast, if you are from Rajasthan, if you are from Andaman Nicobar, if you are from say Kerala, if you are say from Tamil Nadu, if you are say from Kashmir, you might not have heard about this Bhojpur region's cultural ethos. Then no matter what, whenever you talk about a monsoon significance, if you talk about the culture, look at the things, the cultural ethos, definitely monsoons indicate about significance of agriculture, and there is a close linkage with the festivals. So Tej, Raksha Bandhan and all those kind of things. People usually, the traditional communities, allow the monsoons to enter with respect to their traditional music and dance. Say Kajari is a folk song from Jhumar and all those kind of things. The local cuisines, just now I told you pakoras, so there are local cuisines of every region, one different cuisine. All of you, one important thing, mention the very mention a particular cuisine which you are part of, which region you are from, and a particular cuisine which is very, very famous in the months of the monsoons. Try to mention in the comment section so that it will be fun. You'll be learning multiple things, right? The clothes which we wear, which would be wearing, that is all the culture and all. The language, you see, you have so much amount of language. Barse Meghave, Jhume Ghag, when the clouds rain, the frogs dance, all those kind of things. The cultural ethos, the literature, the food, the clothes, okay, the festivals, the dances. That is what the culture is about in a region. Am I right? So that is what they are asking. See, look at the linkage. Yes, if you see this, it's a wonder. This question is a wonderful mix of concept of why it is called Purvayu, which is the first half geography, the second half human life. So we are dividing this session into two halves. That's why I asked you, the moment when I say monsoons, what are the things which you remember? That tells about this. So this is what I'm trying to tell you. This is what I'm trying to understand and have a connectivity with you. With these kind of things, that is when the perspective of geography, the linkages and all becomes very, very unique. Now, I will explain this concept. So these are the cultural ethos. Why it is called Purvayu is, when you see about Bhojpur region, this is the Bhojpur speaking region at the borders of UP, Bihar, you can say that, right? These are the Bhojpuri speaking region. Now here, when you talk about monsoons, what happens is, if you see it here, the monsoonal winds, first, as they enter here, they enter as part of the southwest monsoons. You have the topography here, right? The Western Ghats, right? You have the topography of the Western Ghats. Bypassing the topography through the mountain passes through the gaps of the Western Ghats and all. You can see southwest monsoons enter into India like this. Then you have the topography of the Himalayas, which will be happening. When you talk about the northeastern one, here, if you see it here, the topography here, there are a variety of topographies. You can see Gharo, Kashi, Jayantia hills, the topography of Purvachal ranges and all. What do they allow is, they allow the southwest monsoons coming from the Bay of Bengal branch into the northeast. They'll try to allow like this. They'll come towards the Bay of Bengal and they'll come from this side. So if you are from the Bhojpur region here, where are the winds coming from? The winds are primarily coming from the east. So southwest, because of the topography, is slowly turning into east. That's ways for the Bhojpur region, the winds are coming from the east. These winds will be diluted here, but majority of the winds will come across the foothills, will come across the eastern part and then flew along the foothills of the Himalayas. That is the reason why India's rainfall, you can see here, The depth of the blue color indicates about the amount of rainfall. The rainfall keeps on decreasing as you move from east to west. Why the rainfall is decreasing from east to west? Clearly you can indicate about the monsoonal thing. You can see the monsoonal impact of the Bay of Bengal branch, which is having an impact. So that is the thing. Are you all following? All of you? Are you following? Right? So that is the thing which you need to get the thing here. Then we have given a significance. We have given an idea of monsoons. What is the nature of the monsoons? You see, the onset, the progress, okay, the spatial temporal variations are very, very unique. The gaps or the breaks, all this what makes the, what we call it as vagaries of monsoons. Monsoonal vagaries of the monsoons. You can see the variations, the gaps, the breaks, the spatial and the temporal variations, and all these kind of things, right? So as you can see it, the onset. We are now talking about the onset of the monsoon. Usually happens from June 1st to July 15th. This year, maybe 1 to 2 days early. Usually May, late May, early June. Last week of May, first week of June is the usual trend. This year, 2 days early. And slowly the progress, gradually the progress. Onset is on June 1st, and by around July 15th, entire India would be gradual progress. When they enter, monsoons are known with one unique thing. What is that? Burst of the monsoon. When the monsoons enter India, the phenomena is burst. Why do you think that they are known for burst? The burst indicates that the winds are very, very quickly rushing into the Indian subcontinent. The reason why they are rushing, it's almost like, imagine an AC room, chilled temperatures in the room, good coolness. Suddenly when you open the door of the room, have you ever observed how the winds try to balance it out, rush out? That is the thing. Okay. So now rather you see, this is a cold air. When if there is an AC room, it's a cold air. Surrounding conditions would be warmer. Winds move from warm air to warm air, low pressure, cold air, high pressure. Winds move from high pressure to low pressure. So when you try to open the doors of an AC room, they will try to rush out into the surroundings and trying to balance it out. That is the reason why we are always asked to close the doors. No? So that's the thing, right? So just like how do air moves out of a cold room into the outside parts of the room as you open a door of an AC room, monsoons also enter into India via sudden, quick burst. It's not like, it's almost like in a very, very common language. If you knock the door, may I come in? No, no. They are like kicking the door and entering into the room, right? They have a swag, right? So that's the swag of the monsoons, where when they enter, they come with the burst of the monsoon. Why do you think that they have a burst? For that, you need to understand the nature of the monsoons. If you see the monsoons, they are not like a simple phenomena. They have multiple variations. What are the variations? They are impacted by the southwest monsoons. They are impacted by the low pressure and the high pressure area between the Indian land masses, the jet streams, the role of Tibet, the conditions of, things, La Nina, and all those kind of things. So if you see it here, the first thing, when you talk about the monsoon and all, as I told you, the variations and all, initially, if you need to understand the mechanism of the monsoon, we need to get about the temperature variations. We need to understand about the wind systems. So when you talk about this is the southwest monsoon, look at how the winds are entering. This is where I told you in the Bhojpur region, winds are coming from the east. So when you see it from this part of the world, monsoons, the first thing you need to always observe about is the what are the pressure conditions here. The moment this is low pressure and the Indian Ocean is high pressure, it is always favorable. Favorable. What are the favorable factors of monsoon? You have to see it from an angle of low pressure area on the Indian landmass, high pressure area of the Indian Ocean. When there is a high pressure area of the Indian Ocean and low pressure area here, that is when the winds will always enter from high pressure to low pressure. Recently, if you have seen that, there was a cyclone Rimal, right? Cyclone Rimal, which formed in the Bay of Bengal here, moved along the Bay of Bengal and then towards the Bangladesh and then into the northeast. What it has done is, it has created a low pressure conditions, attracting all the wind systems towards it. So what happened is, it has helped into a certain extent of advancing the monsoon sometimes. Sometimes certain monsoons, cyclone, the interaction between a cyclone and a monsoon, it can delay, it can advance. Last year, cyclone Biparjoy, which was developed on the Arabian Sea, has delayed the monsoon and here it has advanced it. Sometimes there will be multiple factors. Why does it happen and all? But definitely these are the events which we need to observe. Then as you see it carefully here, the general phenomena is in India during the months of summer, the months of April, May, even June, you do find decent heat. Because of the heat, there is a low pressure area. The differential heating of the land and water, water is unable to be heated up to that extent, is the reason why it is high pressure. The more the difference, the good the wind systems should be moving. This is one of the main factor. Also, exactly at the same time, there is something called as intertropical convergence zone. What is intertropical convergence zone? All of you? Anyone? Can you mention what is intertropical convergence zone? Intertropical convergence zone is about, it's a zone of convergence of the trade winds. You all know that normally, for example, which color to use? Yes. Okay. If you see it, this is the geographical equator. As of now, you see that there are supposed to be the southeast trade winds like this. Now, because the ITCZ is shifting more north, what happens is they cross the geographical equator. As they cross the geographical equator, why do they cross the geographical equator? Simple point, their destination is the low pressure area, which is the ITCZ. So the location of ITCZ exactly here, where the winds, the southeast trade winds are attracted towards the ITCZ located north at this time of the season. Because of that, the winds cross the geographical equator. Now, after around 5 degrees, come under the influence of Coriolis force. They deflect towards the right in the north. That's where they call it as, southwest winds. Look at the direction. It is the southeast trade winds which modify into southwest because of Coriolis force, because of the influence of the Coriolis force. And why it is happening? It is all the concept of the revolutions. If you see the equinoxes and solstices, June 21st, vertical rays of the sun happens to be on the day of solstice. Vertical rays will be at the Tropic of Cancer. So when the vertical rays are shifting north, the heat is also shifting north. Because of that, the ITCZ will be turning into a low pressure area. That is why ITCZ is also shifting north. This is what we'll say apparent movement of the sun. As part of the vertical movement of the sun and all, because of the location of the June 21st vertical rays of the sun located at the Tropic of Cancer, ITCZ is due north, and that is the reason why the wind systems are entering. By September, the entire ITCZ will come back to its original position around the equator, and then slowly it will maintain that. Because that is the reason why the onset of the withdrawal happens at around September, because by September 23rd, we have equinox where vertical rays of the sun fall on the equator. So that is the reason why you do find that the low pressure conditions, look at the thing. What is the first thing I told you? For monsoons to have a favorable one, we need to have the low pressure area at the Indian Ocean. We need to have high pressure area at the Indian landmass. Indian Ocean, high pressure area. Indian landmass, low pressure area. Similarly, recently this year happens to be, also happens to be a La Nina, especially by the time of August and September. So, when you have high pressure conditions of the Indian Ocean, La Nina conditions are also favorable for high of the August, in the months of August and September. It will create high pressure conditions in the Indian Ocean. How? Go and refer the El Nino video which have done that. You will understand this. From the La Nina, when there is a good high pressure conditions, that is when once again it is favorable. So August, November will be under the influence of La Nina, which is very, very, very favorable for our monsoons. Now the ITCZ and all these things are fairly providing decent amount of rainfall. Understand the close connectivity here, right? Then also, you should also understand about the role of Tibet. For example, there are a variety of factors which will influence. Tibet is also a very, very important factor. How? Let me explain. Imagine this is the peninsula, then this is the mighty Himalayas, and then is the Tibet. Okay, this is the Indian Ocean. Indian Peninsula. This is the Tibet. Now, if you see it here, because of variety of factors, because surrounding Tibet, the topography is everything Himalayas, mountains, and all those kind of things. For a decent stretch of a flat land, it receives more insolation. As it receives more insolation, what happens is the air expands and rises, convection. From the Tibet, whatever the air which rises, it will move as part of the upper atmosphere and descend into the Indian Ocean. Because of this, there is a high pressure, and because the air is low pressure here, the air is rising there because of the heat and all. Definitely in the Indian landmass, there is a low pressure, and even in the Tibet, there is a low pressure. If you see broadly, you can see here, from the aerial point of view, from the entire regional point of view rather, there is a regional variation during the months of this June, July, September and all, where there is a fairly differential gradient of pressure developed between the ocean and the land masses of subcontinent and Tibet. Broadly, subcontinent and Tibet, low pressure, high pressure in the Indian Ocean, very, very favorable for monsoons. This is another factor, right? So if you see this Tibet, you can see it fairly a flat land because of the topography and all surrounding. It receives decent amount of heat, insulation. It acts as a heat engine. Everything rises, and that is where it is leading. So when you talk about monsoons, there is a variety of factors. You have Tibet, which acts as a heat engine. So look at the things as of now. One, I told you, the low pressure area of Indian Ocean, of Indian landmass, and high pressure area of Indian Ocean. This is what we'll call it as differential heating of land and water. The second is the position of ITCZ. The third is the role of Tibet. You do have variety of things, jet streams. You do have even El Nino, La Nina. All these are impacting the monsoonal things. All these things together is what makes monsoon very, very interesting, right? So you look at this, ITCZ. Exactly the position of the ITCZ is favoring the low pressure area of the Indian landmass. Tibet, favoring the low pressure area, strengthening the high pressure area. Jet streams, they're also whenever the presence of subtropical westerly jet stream is dangerous for Indian Ocean, Indian landmass, because it will neutralize the low pressure area. So the absence of subtropical westerly jet stream neutralizing the low pressure area. Exactly at around at the time of, one of the things you need to ask, why there is a burst of the monsoon? Why do you think that monsoons are entering very, very suddenly? The reason is simple. There is a sudden abrupt change of the pressure conditions between the Indian peninsula and the Indian Ocean. That is the reason why they burst. The reason is exactly at this point of time, the subtropical westerly jet stream disappears. You can check it in another video where I have discussed about monsoon's mechanism in detail. Exactly the disappearance of subtropical westerly jet stream and favorable factors of development of tropical easterly jet stream, which is this condition leading to high pressure conditions in the Indian Ocean. Suddenly, there is a good contrast of well developed low pressure in the Indian peninsula and good high pressure conditions where the winds will rush towards Kerala. That is when you'll find good amount of thunderstorms. That is when you'll find the monsoons are onset. The onset of monsoons have begun. So why we need to understand this thing is climate change is why I'm trying to explain all these kind of things is very simple. Climate change with respect to monsoons can create two basic problems for us. Excessive monsoons, floods, lack of monsoon, droughts. So, under the influence of climate change, when there is so much variation and monsoons are a much more broader phenomena, they can be impacted by multiple things. That is the reason why we need to observe all these kind of things. So, for the mechanism of monsoons and all, there is another video I have done that in detail. You can see that. Then you can add this knowledge where you'll understand about the connectivity. Hope you all have got this. There'll be some wonderful discussions I'll be creating on this topic of monsoons in my Telegram channel, continuing with the latest advancements and all. Don't miss the joining in my Telegram channel so that you'll get to know about this. Okay, that's it then, all of you. We'll get to know about a new topic again tomorrow. Until then, have a good time. Thank you for watching it. Keep learning, keep observing about the events happening around us. Thank you.